Bill Clapton, Sales Director at Magnet Plus. I'm here today with Fergal McGrath, Venue Director of the Town Hall Theatre and Black Box Theatre here in Galway. Fergal, can you tell us a little bit about your two venues?
We are the Town Hall Theatre here in Galway. We manage two theatres, three spaces within them. The Town Hall Theatre is a 400-seater auditorium with a 50-seater studio where we're sitting at the moment, and just nearby we have a black box performance space, which is a multi-purpose, multi-use space, which varies from like 400 to 600 seated up to 800 standing, and used for exhibitions and many other events. In a typical year we would sell 120, 130,000 seats per year, and that, to put it in context, is in the light of Galway having a population of 75, 80,000 people. The level of activity, engagement and attendances is very high and very busy spaces. So for the Wi-Fi, we have, it's a very busy space. We're open 363 days a year. We're open 7 days a week. We have shows day, evening and late. So we're in constant use, lots of people in. Everybody wants to be able to access Wi-Fi while they're waiting at intervals, post-show or whatever. So that's, a great service for us to have. And then for artists and performers backstage, it's really important that they have access to a very strong Wi-Fi. There are events which, within the event, there may be use of Wi-Fi, there may be audience participation, there's different things that can happen. So in today's world, we just go with the flow and see what happens.
Yeah.
And then separately, and I suppose even more significantly since we came through the COVID trauma, is the use of the high-powered broadband connections. And during COVID, we found, overnight our business was closed down.
Of course.
We were just completely shut down. It was a sucker punch. We were on the canvas, we just didn't know what to do. And then as we kind of got our bearings and decided this might be medium term, initially people thought weeks, we very quickly gathered it might be months, it could be years. We spoke to contacts who had worked in Southeast Asia, and we learned how they had managed theatres and performances during SARS, a decade earlier. So we quickly realised that you could run a performance space in a pandemic. So once we knew we could do that, then we wanted to communicate that with our friends and our supporters and our sponsors and our funders. We started to have performances which we could live stream. Then we had performances with some audiences in which we could live stream and have audiences in. And then we learned that we could film and subsequently stream shows and performances. It's Wi-Fi, it's broadband. And popping back to the Wi-Fi again, another interesting asset for that was that people who are using our broadband services, they give us permission to add their contacts to our emailing our database. And again, during COVID, that access to our audiences became a critical way of communication. And so even when we didn't have events on, we were telling people why we didn't have events on and that we would soon have events on. And then when we did have them on, we wanted them to come and join us online. So it was a very useful asset to have. We used our direct emailing database. We touched as many places as we could. We reached out to as many people as we could, and we said, for example, we have our patron donations awards. If you contribute, we can give out bursaries, we can give out residencies, we can just share the funds that come in. So we did receive funds which were dispersed very quickly.
Sure.
So there was one year there where I think it was 2021, we distributed in excess of 150,000 euros worth of grants, bursaries, residencies, artists, subsidies, all sorts of things.
Brilliant.
And that was cash. So we just got money out there, and a significant, not all of that, but a significant part of that came from patrons' donations, which we had driven through our database, basically. Because during COVID, our traditional means of communication, through print media, advertising, print brochure, local papers, that basically stopped overnight because we had very little income. We couldn't afford to be spending it, and then people weren't going into shops. They weren't buying newspapers or whatever.
Yeah.
So our digital transformation, our agenda was accelerated.
Sure.
And every time we turned to find a solution to the obstacle that had popped up in front of us, it was often a digital solution. And more often than that, as you would know, we rang you. We rang Magnet Plus. And the reason we rang Magnet Plus was we were under pressure. We had an agenda, we had to do something, and it was invariably quickly. In fairness, you know, Magnet's response was very good. He empathized with our situation, and you very quickly thought through a solution and you came back to us.
Okay.
From the Wi-Fi to the public, the Wi-Fi for the artists, to the broadband connections, to the streaming, and all the different ways we use that, we can see that we probably made 10 years progress in the 2 years. As is our approach to everything we do, we just went out and looked for best in class. So we asked around basically, and we heard through word of mouth. So that's why we initially approached you. And I think the first time you're in here was we had the Digital Marketing Awards here in Galway in May 2016.
Yeah.
And they had a specific requirement, and it was probably through conversations with them that we came up with maybe working with yourselves. And you came in, you did the business, and then I think I came back to the next day saying we got to do this.
I remember that conversation.
Yeah. So that's how, and it was. There's an example now. We were dealing with digital innovators in Galway. We were from an arts background with no digital innovation experience, and we just saw what they were at, and we said we'll have that. So we cut and paste, and then we rang you. Well, I suppose there's three things. One is it's technically reliable, and because that's just critical in our business, and in all of the times we introduced an innovation, you know, using your technology, we were always nervous because it had to be 100%. So that was the first thing. It was the reliability. The second thing was, if and ever there was a risk or a doubt or whatever, the response time was really quick. So the response and the reception to a query or the reception to a worry, the understanding, the openness, the support we felt was there was really good, right? And then the third thing was obviously the output. What we were able to achieve was, in our view, like best in class.
Sure.
And that's exactly where we wanted to be. So we were streaming major international events from our Black Box Theatre or the Town Hall Theatre, and these shows are being seen across the world. You know, Mary Coughlin performed here to an audience of max 50 people because that's all that was allowed because of the guidelines at the time. But there were people watching from Canada, Australia, the United States, England. Like, it was amazing, you know, and there were people watching in Tuam because one journalist rang me and he said, "Would you just turn up the volume a bit at the desk?" You know, he was a journalist in Tuam, Ireland, Tuam. So. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
There were three reasons, and all they kind of, one not in isolation of the other two, and all three together would have been like the reason we worked, and we're happy working, and are happy to continue working with yourself. Based on our experience, I would say 5. And the reason I would say that in all sincerity is, again, it's back to the reliability of the products that you've offered. It's back to the support, the technical support, which is critical. You know, as I said earlier on, I'm not a techie, but I know what I want. And when it's not right, I know that it's wrong.
Yes.
And I keep pointing and I keep phoning, and I just will always pursue until we get what we need, because like, we're in the front line, we're dealing with public audiences. We're a customer-facing organisation, and we can't wait. You know, there can be no delay. You know, there can be no delay on the line. It's like we're a responsive organisation, and our suppliers have to be responsive.